In 1994, Rwanda was a mess. For about 100 days, people were being killed right, left, and center. Fathers, mothers, children, the kind of stuff you see in a movie. Now, what happened? Little backstory. There are two major ethnic groups in Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis. For a long time, they lived together in harmony. They spoke the same language, shared the same culture, they lived side by side. But then they got colonized by Belgium. And as it is when the Europeans come, divisions happen. It's deliberate, it's strategic, it helps their agenda. That's not the story for today, so stay with me. So the colonial government initially favored the Tutsis in many areas like education and leadership positions. They were often treated as superior, while many Hutus were made to feel less. Over time, resentment and anger began growing, and of course it did. Then later on, the same Belgium who supported the Tutsis pivoted and started supporting the Hutus, which led to a revolution, blah blah blah, you know how it goes. Now Rwanda gained independence with the Hutus majorly in leadership. But even with that, the resentments continued. The anger and hatred the two ethnic groups had for each other didn't stop. Extremists began spreading dangerous propaganda. Some radio stations and political leaders portrayed Tutsis as enemies and even referred to them as less than human beings. Fear and hatred were constantly repeated until many ordinary people, young and old, were filled with deep, dark resentment for their fellow human. But even at that, up until 1994 when the genocide happened, life in Rwanda was somewhat normal. Many people in Rwanda were still living what looked like ordinary lives. People went to school, people went to work, children played together, families attended weddings, church services, community gatherings, you get it. So even though ethnic tension and political conflict had been growing for years, daily life for many ordinary citizens still felt normal on the surface. So what triggered the genocide fully? On the 6th of April 1994, the president of Rwanda, who was of the Hutu ethnic group of course, was killed after his plane was shot down. Who was behind it? We'll find out soon enough. Anyway, the genocide began. Hutus were on a rampage looking to kill any one of the Tutsi ethnic group they saw. Violence exploded across the country. Roadblocks appeared everywhere. Armed groups moved through neighborhoods hunting Tutsis. And suddenly, Rwanda became one of the most terrifying places on earth. People were dragged from homes, families disappeared overnight, the sound of fear filled the streets. Now introducing Immaculée Ilibagiza of the Tutsi ethnic group. Immaculée was a young university student at the time, pursuing a degree in electrical and mechanical engineering at the National University of Rwanda. She was home from university on Easter break in April 1994 when the genocide began. Now hold up a little bit. You see how fast someone's life can change. One day everything is normal and the next day it's something entirely different. Dangerous, scary, deadly. It will first of all feel like a bad dream. You wonder how things could change so fast. But that's how it happens. One day you have a job, the next day you don't. One day you're in a loving relationship, the next day you're not. One day someone you love is alive, the next day they're not. Anyway, seeing all that was going on, Immaculée's father realized the danger immediately. At first, she didn't want to go. She believed things would calm down, but her father insisted. That decision was what saved her life. He sent her to the home of a local pastor. At first, the pastor hesitated. Hiding Tutsis was extremely dangerous. Anyone caught protecting them could be killed too. But eventually he agreed. And that's when the nightmare truly began. The pastor hid Immaculée and several other women inside a tiny bathroom. Not a bedroom, not a mini store, a bathroom. It was so small they could barely move. They had to remain silent almost all the time. No flushing toilets, no conversations, no whispering, no standing comfortably, no freedom. I feel like when we hear stories like this, we just feel bad and move on. But I process it differently. I imagine being there. Imagine being packed into a tiny bathroom/toilet with 7 people and you can't talk. You're scared of being found. It's just you and your thoughts. First of all, you mustn't be claustrophobic. You'll be gasping for breath in no time. Either way, when I think about it, I'm just wondering how I would feel in such a situation, what I would do. Well, what can you do in that situation anyways? Moving forward, outside the bathroom door, killers searched constantly. Sometimes they came directly into the house. Sometimes they shouted names. Sometimes Immaculée could hear them talking about killing her. Imagine hearing people discuss your death while you are only a few feet away. Every second felt like it could be the last. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Inside that bathroom, fear slowly began changing her. At times, she felt consumed by anger. She thought about revenge. She thought about hatred. She thought about the people destroying her country and murdering innocent families. But you know something truly painful? The killers were not strangers, not criminals. They were people she knew, people she had laughed with, people who knew her name. Now we are moving closer to the purpose of this video, which is forgiveness, learning to let go, learning to release people from our hearts. You see, the people who hurt us the most are not strangers. They are people we loved. people we trusted, people we truly cared for. The hot drives weren't truly crazy. You can't explain it, you can't understand it. You don't get why they would do something like that to you. Anyway, in the midst of Immaculate's troubles, a news came that shattered her heart completely. Most of her family had been killed. Her mother, her father, her brothers, gone. The people she loved most in the world had been brutally murdered, and still she remained trapped in that bathroom. No funeral, no goodbye, no time to grieve properly, just silence, fear, and unbearable pain. At that point, prayer became one of the only things helping her hold herself together mentally. Immaculate started praying constantly. As a Catholic, the Lord's Prayer was important, and the Lord's Prayer required her to say the part, "And forgive us as we forgive those who trespassed against us." That was the hard part, because she hadn't forgiven none of them. In fact, scratch that, she wasn't planning to. Her thoughts were focused on justice. She wanted the killing to stop. She was grieving. She was terrified. Forgiveness wasn't part of her thought process at all. Whenever she tried praying about forgiveness, she couldn't do it sincerely. How do you forgive people who destroyed your entire family? How do you forgive evil? But slowly, over time, she realized something terrifying. Hatred was beginning to consume her from the inside. Even though she was physically hiding from killers, emotionally, anger was slowly destroying her too, and she didn't want hatred to become the final thing left in her heart. So day by day, little by little, she fought internally to let go of revenge. Not because what happened was okay, not because the pain disappeared, but because she refused to let evil completely reshape who she was. It's really important that we learn from this. Forgiveness shouldn't only border on the desire to be back in good terms with someone. Forgiveness should also be about you, about your peace, about your desire to live life without carrying a hurt in your heart, a grudge in your mind, a desire to not allow hate and pain to disrupt your well-being, a desire to forgive no matter what has been done to you, a desire to let go. After 91 days, the genocide finally began ending. When Immaculate came out of hiding, Rwanda was almost unrecognizable. Bodies filled parts of the streets, entire communities had vanished, the country she once knew was gone, and yet somehow she survived. But the moments that shocked most people came later. Eventually, Immaculate met one of the men responsible for killing her family. The man stood before her, and instead of responding with rage, she forgave him. Not because he deserved it, not because she forgot, but because she said carrying hatred would destroy the rest of her life too. That's what makes her story unforgettable. Most people survive tragedy physically, very few survive it emotionally without becoming consumed by bitterness. But somehow, after losing almost everything, she still chose peace, she still chose forgiveness, and honestly, I think that kind of strength is harder than revenge will ever be. I hope we learn a thing or two from Immaculate's story. I hope we learn that forgiveness is important, not for the other person, but for you, so your heart can be free, so you can live a happy life. So that will be the end of this video. If you watched to the end, you're a real G, and I appreciate you. See you in the next one. By the way, who was behind the president's death? Some sources say it was the Tutsis. Others claimed it was the Hutus who needed the reason to start the genocide. Nobody really knows.